Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of the Terror Talks. I'm your host, Jeremy, and today we are on episode 34. That's right, guys, episode 34. So, today we are going to be taking a little bit of a break from the haunted houses and stuff, and we are jumping back into some horror movies and whatnot. And we are focusing this week on a new horror movie, brand new, fresh at the box office. I guess at the point that I'm recording this, is not brand new anymore. Now it's a couple weeks old. But in case you haven't seen it, now's your chance to go check it out. But that film is called Malignant. This is one of the newest films that has been released by director James Wan. And just right off the bat, before I say anything further about it, it was, in my opinion, very interesting. It was very interesting, very incredible, very unique. Something that I don't think we have really seen in horror. At least I don't recall ever having seen anything like this in my experience with horror. So I'm very excited to talk about this new film by director James Wan. Many of you know him from films such as The Conjuring. That is his most notorious film series that he has done. He's done several other ones, and there's just so many, too many to name, really, because he's just such a great horror, paranormal, creepy kind of director. In a way, he's like the Wes Craven of the modern era, if you will. And I know that's a very tough label to just hand out because it's very hard to top Wes Craven. And I wouldn't say he topped Wes Craven. I'd say he's right there, creating a new type of horror genre, much like Wes Craven did back in the day with Nightmare on Elm Street, Scream, and all these other amazing horror films that came before this time. So, yeah, very, very impressive, very awesome. Absolutely love him, love his all the things he's done in all these films. It's just incredible to me. So, let's just dive right in to the film, and we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about some specifics of it. We're going to talk about the plot of it, and then, of course, we're going to talk about our thoughts and kind of just point out some specific moments that we really liked and just really tell you how we felt about this film. So Malignant is a 2021 American horror film directed by James Wan from a screenplay by Akela Cooper, based on an original story by Wan, Ingrid Bisu, and Cooper. The film stars Annabelle Wallis as a woman who begins to have visions of people being murdered, only to realize the events are happening in real life. Maddie Hasson, George Young, Michole Briana White, and Jacqueline McKenzie also star in the film. So this is a great little cast that we have here. Very, very, very good cast. Very good cast. They're doing some great things. Malignant was theatrically released in North America on September 10th, 2021 by Warner Brothers Pictures under the New Line Cinema banner. It will also stream on HBO Max for 1 month from the theatrical release date. The film grossed $29 million against a budget of $40 million and received mixed reviews from critics who found it either painfully average or bloodily brilliant. So the running time of this film is about 111 minutes, so just shy of 2 hours, and I thought that was very, very neat. I hadn't seen a horror film that went on that long in quite some time. In fact, I don't think I've ever seen one that has gone past an hour and a half. Hour and a half is your typical kind of range for a horror film. There are some notable exceptions to that rule, but in my experience, they usually tap out at about an hour and a half. They might get a little closer to the hour 40, but that's about where they cut off. Never have they made it to full 2 hours, and of course this one doesn't either, but it is very, very close, and it's very, we're 9 minutes off of being 2 hours, so very neat, very good. Definitely enjoyed it. In July 2019, it was announced that James Wan would direct the film at New Line Cinema from a screenplay by Akela Cooper and J.T. Petty, based on an original story he wrote alongside his wife Ingrid Bisu, and serve as a producer alongside Michael Clear under his Atomic Monster banner. That September, Wan officially revealed the title as Malignant, with Bloody Disgusting claiming the film would be more in line with a giallo film. Bisu's fascination with medical anomalies led her to read about Edward Mordecai, which inspired the Gabriel character. Gabriel is a character that we're going to dive into shortly. On October 24th, 2019, Wan clarified that the film is not based on his graphic novel, Malignant Man, stating it's definitely not a superhero film. Malignant is an original thriller not based off of any existing IP. In August 2019, Annabelle Wallis, George Young, and Jake Abel were cast in the film. In September 2019, Maddie Hasson, Michole Briana White, and Jacqueline McKenzie joined the cast of the film. McKenna Grace was added to the cast in March 2020. Production began on September 24th, 2019 in Los Angeles and concluded on December 8th, 2019. Malignant was theatrically released in France on September 1st, 2021, and was released in the United States on September 10th, distributed by Warner Bros. Pictures under the New Line Cinema banner. It was originally scheduled to be released on August 14th, 2020, but due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the film was removed from the release schedule in March 2020 as part of its plans for all of its 2021 films. Warner Bros. Is also streaming Malignant simultaneously on the HBO Max service for a period of 1 month, after which the film will be removed until the normal home media release schedule period. So, we are almost a year, actually we're over a year since the film was originally supposed to premiere, and we finally got to receive this film, and I think it is definitely an interesting one. And of course, I've tried not to give too much away just yet, and as we get into this, then we'll start to really discuss what's going on. But yeah, this is definitely a different type of movie. I've never seen anything like it before, and that is so incredible to me, to have something this different and this unique in the horror, psychological, thriller kind of genre. So, job well done to Warner Brothers, New Line Cinema, James Wan, all of them, for just putting their best foot forward and creating an absolute incredible feature. Like, it really was incredible. I really, really enjoyed it. So, very excited to talk about it. So, we're not going to waste any more time. We're going to dive right into the plot of this film. We're going to talk about all the little details as we go through it. We'll try to stop and, point out some little things here and there, but we're going to try to not talk too much apart from the plot, because we just want you guys to sit back, relax, and just kind of hear it. Maybe you've already seen the film, you already know the plot, but, you still want to just get a little refresher by hearing this, so feel free to listen. If you haven't seen the film yet, I highly encourage you to shut this off and go watch it, and then come back after you have watched it so you can hear our full thoughts on it. It definitely is worth watching. I would highly encourage anyone to watch it, because it really is something kind of interesting. I really love it. So, without further ado, let's dive into the plot of Malignant. Gabriel has special powers such as controlling electricity and broadcasting his thoughts via speakers. One night, Gabriel turns violent and kills several staff members of the institution. So right out the gate, this film, you can tell, is already one that it's not your typical film, because there's just something different about it. It almost seems paranormal in a way, but at the same time doesn't. We're not really sure what exactly we are dealing with at the beginning of this film, because we see this doctor, we meet her, she's doing like this video vlog kind of thing to basically keep record of the Gabriel case, but we don't know what Gabriel is. We don't know who Gabriel is. All we know is that Gabriel is killing a crap ton of people. Like, a bunch of people are dead at the top of this, and the only hint of whatever Gabriel is we see a foot get tied down to a chair, and we know that it must be some physical being of sorts, because they say tie him down to a chair, and then they're like, alright, it's time to cut out the cancer. Like, that's a really, epic line that Dr. Florence says right before the opening credits begin, and she's like, it's time to cut out the cancer. And then we have this epic kind of medical montage, if you will. Lots of medical type images, diaries and whatnot appear floating across the screen, and it's like this really kind of grungy type of introduction to the film. It's actually very, very cool. I really loved how this one started, and it really kind of kicked it off going like, okay, this isn't your typical horror film. There's something different about this. So I was really, really excited about the way they started everything off. 27 years later, Madison Lake, a pregnant woman living in Seattle, returns home to her husband, Derek Mitchell, after her pregnancy causes her to feel ill at work. During an argument, Derek smashes Madison's head against a wall, after which she locks herself in the bedroom and falls asleep. Madison later wakes up to find Derek's body after having had a dream of a man entering their house and violently killing him. The killer, who is still in the house, attacks Madison, rendering her unconscious. So, yeah, she has this really weird dream, and this is one of the moments of the film that has a really cool sequence that I really loved the way James Wan did this. It was like you were above the house, like you were looking in kind of like a blueprint of the house, and the camera kind of like went above each room, so you were looking at everything from above directly down into the room, as if you were like kind of looking into a model. And this was a really cool effect they did, and I love the way they did that. So, you know, they call this thing a killer, but we don't know for sure if it's a killer, just because some things start happening prior to him killing Derek that lead me to think, oh, maybe it's not so much a who is it, more like a what is it, because it's like opening doors and things. Like, it's very interesting. The next morning, Madison wakes up in a hospital and is informed by her sister Sydney that her unborn baby did not survive the attack. After being interviewed by police, Detective Kakoa Shaw and his partner Regina Moss, Madison returns home. There, Madison reveals to Sydney that she was adopted at 8 years old. The killer kidnaps a woman running a Seattle underground tour. Madison has another vision, this time of the killer murdering Dr. Weaver. So, couple things to note here. Madison and Derek, this is like their fourth pregnancy, and it's ended in a miscarriage every single time. So this one also ended in a miscarriage again. And Sydney is not necessarily aware of this. She doesn't know that how many times this has happened, and she finds out there in the hospital. And the reason she finds that out is because Madison mentions that she just wants to have a blood connection with somebody. And of course, Sydney does not understand what she means by that, and that's when she finds out, oh, she was adopted. And so that's the first of many twists in this film that kind of come out of nowhere. And then they murder Dr. Weaver. So you see Dr. Weaver at the beginning of this film and think, oh, she's going to be around for a while. You would be absolutely wrong. She is not around for long at all. She's gone before we even really get deep into the second act. And then there's this mysterious woman who's been kidnapped, and of course, all will be revealed there later as well. During their investigation, Shaw and Moss discover a photo of Madison as a child in Weaver's house, and learn that Weaver specialized in child reconstructive surgery. Madison and her sister approach the police after Madison has another vision, this time of the killer murdering Dr. Fields. The killer contacts Madison and reveals himself to be Gabriel, Madison's childhood imaginary friend. She and her sister visit their mother, Jean, to learn more. Madison realizes that Gabriel was not her imaginary friend, but someone real to whom she spoke during her childhood. Shaw finds a link between the doctors and Madison, which leads him to discover Dr. Gregory's dead body. So the plot thickens even more here, because now we're kind of like, well, is Gabriel a real person, or is he an entity? Because it's not really clear, because we see these home videos where Madison as a child is talking to Gabriel, but there's no one there. And so that's an interesting thing. And so we find out that this was something she did when she was a child and then it stopped for a while. Well, now it has started back up again. The detectives enlist the help of a psychiatric hypnotherapist, hoping to unlock Madison's memories. Madison recalls that her birth name is Emily May and that Gabriel wanted her to kill her unborn sister. She came close to doing it, but was able to stop herself. The police arrest Madison when the kidnapped woman falls from the attic in her home, revealing that Gabriel was living inside her house. The woman is Serena May. Madison's birth mother. Sydney visits the now abandoned Simeon Hospital and finds that Gabriel is Emily's twin brother who lives within her body as an extreme version of a teratoma, sharing the same brain and spinal cord as Emily. During Emily's childhood, Gabriel appeared as a half-formed child facing out of Emily's back. Weaver operated on Emily and was able to remove all of the tumor except for the brain. He was dormant after her childhood, but woke up when Derek hit her head against the wall. Gabriel's face now emerges from the back of Madison's skull and operates her body backwards when he takes control, explaining the killer's unnatural movements and the upside-down fingerprints at his crime scenes. So, this is the other big twist, is that Gabriel is basically literally attached to Emily, or you can call her Madison, whichever one you want. But he is attached to her. He is a part of her. He's like an infection, is how they describe it. And so this was the part that I was just like, oh, this is so unique. I've never seen anything like it before in a horror film. And I loved that we got that sort of just different thing. It was different. You don't see this that often. So I was very excited when we found that out. And then to add even more twists and turns, we find out that it was Gabriel and Madison, basically, who were killing the people. Gabriel was taking over Madison's body, and he made it look as if Madison was just having a vision at home or something. And when in reality, he was actually using her body backwards to kill the people. So in a way, it was kind of Madison all along, but not really, because she had no control over her actions, which I thought, again, such a neat concept to have that be the killer, the monster, if you will. So I thought that was really, really neat. Gabriel, provoked by fellow inmates in the lockup, takes full control of Madison's body, slaughters them and almost the entire precinct with superhuman strength and agility, and eventually leaves. Sydney and Shaw intercept him at the hospital where Serena is recovering from her captivity. Shaw and Sydney are attacked by Gabriel. Sydney informs Madison that Gabriel is the cause of her miscarriages because he was feeding off of her fetuses. Angry at the revelation, Madison wakes up and takes back control of her body, transporting both herself and Gabriel to a black mindscape. Madison locks a disbelieving Gabriel behind bars, saying that she is now the one in control, and that Gabriel's powers are hers now. As Madison leaves Gabriel in the mindscape, he insists to her that he will return one day. Madison replies that she will be ready for him when he does, and leaves the mindscape. Back in the hospital and in full control of her body, Madison lifts a hospital bed, pinning Sydney to the wall with her newly acquired strength. The pair hug as Madison affirms that even though she was adopted and is not related by blood, she has been her sister all along and is proud to be so. As the two embrace, Serena looks on happily, while the electric humming that accompanied Gabriel's attacks can be heard faintly. So, lots of cool stuff happening here. So, like we said, Gabriel took over once again. He took over Madison's body, and they literally have a bloody massacre at the police precinct, and that is like, whoa, like absolutely crazy. And so that happens, and it's absolutely intense and insane, and a lot of people die, and a lot of people get, well, only 2 people really get injured because the rest of them all die. But when we find out that Gabriel has been feeding off of the fetuses, and that's the reason for the miscarriage, like, that's the other twist that we get. Like, there's so many twists in this film. And there was another twist we hadn't mentioned before, which was, we kind of mentioned it, but it was the lady who fell from the ceiling who was kidnapped by, who was described earlier as the mysterious killer. Now we know it's Gabriel. That was Madison's birth mother, who up until this point was believed to just be either dead or missing, or, no one knew where she was. And lo and behold, here she is. She was there the whole time. She's been alive and in hiding. But yeah, so we find out that Madison had really the power to lock Gabriel up all this time by just kind of putting him in the back of her mind and locking him away. and just sort of taking over. So really, if you think about it, she could have done this all this time now, but instead she depended on what the doctors had done, which was basically closed up her head to the point where nothing could basically escape. So it's kind of an interesting way of doing things. Alright, we're going to take a short little break, and then we're going to talk about the reviews that the film got and give some of our personal thoughts on the film itself. We'll be right back, guys. Hey there, Terror Talk fans. Are you looking for a new way to let your voice be heard? If so, check out our friends at Anchor. Anchor is a one-stop shop for creating your very own podcast. They offer editing tools to create your podcast, which include your audio, listener audio, unique transitions, and custom advertisements. In addition, they'll also help you distribute your podcast to other listener sources, such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many others. With this unique app, you also have the chance to get paid for your podcast by simply placing ads for various sponsors in your videos. Best part of it all? It is 100% free. Anchor does all the work for you and makes podcasting as simple as turning on a light. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. That's ANCHOR.FM. Whether you're new to podcasting, doing it as a hobby, or hosting a professional show, Anchor is the place for you. And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, on episode 34 of the Terror Talks, where we are talking about the latest horror movie out there by James Wan called Malignant. Before the break, we discussed the plot line and just kind of gave some initial thoughts on the film and discussed some specifics like the cast and the crew that were working on it. Now we're going to give you some of our personal thoughts on the film after now being able to talk about the plot line of it, as well as what some of the critics had to say about the film. So on review aggregator Rotten Tomatoes, the film has an approval rating of 76% based on 136 reviews, with an average rating of 6.4 out of 10. The website's critics' consensus reads, although Malignant isn't particularly scary, director James Wan return to horror contains plenty of gory thrills and a memorably bonkers twist. On Metacritic, the film has a weighted average score of 51 out of 100 based on 23 critics, indicating mixed or average reviews. Audiences polled by CinemaScore gave the film an average rate of C on an A+ to F scale, while PostTrack reported 59% of audience members gave it a positive score, with 38% saying they would definitely recommend it. Andrew Barker of Variety wrote, "It's hard to say whether a film this bonkers works or not, but it's impossible not to admire both the craft and the extravagant bad taste behind its go-for-broke energy." Megan Navarro of Bloody Disgusting rated the film 3.5 out of 5 and said, "It's silly, it's outrageous, and it's a blast." Not really sure where the silly part comes in, but okay. Josh Milliken of Dread Central gave the film 4 out of 5 and called it the best horror movie of the year. Michael Gingold of Rue Morgue described the film as having WTF energy, but criticized the implausibility of the plot, saying, "Too often, it's hard to know whether Wan and company are kidding or not." So, yeah, a lot of mixed reviews about this film. Definitely some more positive than others, and definitely some more negative than others. So, let's talk about our personal feelings. So, like I said earlier, this is a different type of horror film, and that's what I think makes it so successful, is the fact that it is so different. It is so unique. In that it doesn't deal with I don't want to say supernatural being, but, not so much something that you really can't see. It's something that is there. It's something physical. And we don't really see that too often. In a lot of the other James Wan films, you're dealing with demons and ghosts and paranormal entities, things that are pretty much invisible to the naked eye. Obviously there are some instances like with The Conjuring 3, we had a physical being there doing things, but there was also paranormal elements to that as well. This, it kind of plays with you a little bit. It's like it makes it feel like there's something paranormal or extraterrestrial or just supernatural going on. And in reality, it's actually something that's pretty more science fiction than anything. It's more of a science fiction anomaly, health anomaly kind of situation where we're seeing something that is not necessarily normal to us, but in a normal kind of scenario where it actually could happen. And I think that's what makes it so interesting and so unique is that you've got, this basically skin condition in a way. It's this abnormality, the skin abnormality on this person. And that's what's so crazy about it is because clearly this was based off of a case that one of the writers read. So this has happened, or something very similar to this has happened before. Maybe not quite to the extreme, but there was clearly a sort of there was something to base it all off of in an essence. And that's what's so awesome about it is just that uniqueness. And I love the way that it was done. I think James Wan and his team did a remarkable job. I will say it was not necessarily scary. It had some moments. It had some jump scare esque moments, but it wasn't one that I think was necessarily meant to scare you so much rather than enamor you in a way, because throughout the entirety of this film, you are just absolutely enamored by the things that are going on. Like, it is really quite something as you experience the different moments throughout. And that's just fantastic to me. Absolutely fantastic. And I think they did a really, really remarkable job all day long with this film. Um, it was definitely a lot more gory than I think I had expected it to be. Like, we're talking super, super gory. Like, blood everywhere, really grotesque special effects, that type of thing. But it was awesome. Like, I don't think I've ever seen James Wan get this, like, grotesque in a film before, and I thought that was so awesome that he did that. So good on him for that. It definitely was something different, and that's all I can keep really saying about it is how unique and different that this film is. And I really don't think that we're going to see something quite like it ever again. And so for me, I definitely give it, 5 out of 5. I think there's just something so unique about it. I love the sort of M. Night Shyamalan twists that you get throughout this film. You get at least 3 of them. You get the twist of Madison being adopted. Then you get the twist of the person who's captured up in the attic is Madison's mom. Then you get the twist of Gabriel is this thing growing on the back of Madison, and then you get the twist of basically Gabriel was using Madison to kill everybody, so really Madison was the killer. And these twists keep you guessing and keep your eyes attached to the screen the whole time. And it's something that you don't see too often in cinema anymore. And so I'm really, really glad James Wan did this. And I'm glad he did it in such a unique way. And I will say, it's not all dark, gory, grotesque horror either. Like, there were some moments where I laughed in that film, which you don't see that too often in thrillers or horror films. You don't get a whole lot of laughter because there's just simply no time for it. And in this one, I actually laughed several times, particularly at the lead police, his partner. She is just funny as all get out. Like, they gave her some great little one-liners and whatnot. And that just, like, it kind of helped give the film a little bit of lightheartedness, if you will, because just everything was not quite so deep all the time, and that was very important, I think. And you could definitely see a lot of these lighthearted moments throughout, and it was just really good all around. In my opinion, it was a very, very great film. The filming styles were so good. I loved, like I said earlier, there was a really cool scene where the camera was basically over the top of the room, so we were looking in on this scene and basically looking at the top of people's heads, and I thought that was such a cool effect. I'm so glad they did it that way. There was a scene down in the sewers at one point, or I guess it's meant to be the underground Seattle, and like, I guess James Wan said, make it like a haunted house, because there was like all this fog billowing into the room. Like, it was thick, thick fog, and it created this just ominous, eerie environment, and it was just so cool. It was really, really good. They did a great job. The different kind of feelings that you got in the different locations was all there. It definitely conveyed this feeling of uneasiness, and I thought that was just genius job, well done. Definitely enjoyed it. 5 out of 5, 10 out of 10. Highly recommend. A+. It was an awesome movie, and I think James Wan did a phenomenal job on it. I was very, very happy with my experience at it. And like I said, it was like nothing I'd ever seen before. And I know that's really hard to do with some horror movies these days, because at some point you start to repeat the formula. And the great thing is that there was a way that the formula was able to be changed and not necessarily repeated. So good job on the team, good job on the writers, directors, producers, everybody. Fantastic job. That is Malignant, ladies and gentlemen. If you haven't seen it, be sure to go check it out before it is no longer in theaters. Purchase the movie at home, watch it on any streaming service when it becomes available on there, buy it through Redbox, whatever you can do to watch it, watch it. If you can, while you still have the chance, go see it in the movie theater. As I say every episode when we talk about movies, I always encourage all of my listeners to please go to the movie theater. Take a couple hours of your time and just sit there and watch the movie there in person, because there's just nothing like it. It cannot be substituted at home. You don't have to buy the popcorn, the soda, the candy. Just buy the ticket. Buy the ticket, because you are supporting people at that theater who that is their job. Some of them are teenagers and maybe their very first job ever in their life, and nobody's coming into the theater. So go there, support them, show them that the movie theater is not going to become a dying art. We're going to have it for as long as we can remember. So go out there and just have a good time. It's always a great time to just go to the movie. You can go at nighttime, go on a date, go with your family. Just go there in person, have a good time, shut the cell phone off, enjoy the previews of what's to come, and then enjoy that feature presentation that you are there to see, because it is just it's a phenomenal experience that can't be replicated. So I can't stress it enough. If you have the time, go out, catch a flick, see it in person. You won't regret it. So that is going to do it for us today on episode 34 of the Terror Talks, where we were talking about James Wan's newest film, Malignant. Be sure to go check it out in theaters, or if you don't catch it while it's still in theaters, be sure to go purchase it. You can check it out on all the streaming services, I'm sure. You can purchase it on things like Redbox. Find a way to watch it. It's a film that you don't want to miss. It is definitely unique, different, and it is perfect for the times right now. So great job, cast, crew, team, everybody who was a part of it. You did phenomenal. Absolutely enjoyed it. But that's going to do it for us today. If you enjoyed the episode, be sure to hit that like button. You can comment, you can subscribe. We are on all sorts of different platforms, so you can listen to us, watch us. However you feel comfortable getting this podcast, you can sign up for it. You can go check out all of our social medias. We are on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. So be sure to go follow us on all those, where you can keep up with everything that we're doing. On YouTube, you get to watch the video version of the podcast, so that's cool. So on those versions, we will have different images kind of popping up at different times when we talk about certain things. Sometimes we'll have video, images, all sorts of things. Be sure to check out the YouTube, because we also do other things on there as well, post regular videos and whatnot. You can listen to us on all of the listening platforms. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Anchor, Stitcher, and so many other ones. They're all listed in the section below in the description. So be sure to check it out, see where you can find us. Be sure to go check out our website. We are theterrortalks.wixsite.com/website. You can go check us out there. Great place. We post all of our haunted house blogs on there. We've got some awesome content on there, images, all sorts of cool things you can check out. You can also check out the podcast on there as well, because I believe we do have a link to post it. We recently got a TikTok where we're going to be posting some things on there. So we're now on TikTok, and it's just the Terror Talks on TikTok. You can find us there. We now officially also have a Twitch, so we stream our YouTube content live. All of our episodes are live streamed. We do it once, and that's it. So if you miss it there, though, you can go check it out on YouTube, and we've got it on everything. But that is going to do it for us today here on episode 34 of the Terror Talks. We hope that you guys had a great time. We know that we did. We always love doing these episodes with you guys, and we love hearing from you. So if you want to get in touch with us, you can hit us up on all of our social medias. You can comment down below, or you can shoot us an email to theterrortalks@gmail.com. We would love to hear for you. We'd love to hear if you agree, disagree, have your own opinions. We want to hear from you guys. You guys are what makes the show. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you guys for being loyal listeners. Like I said, you are what makes our show. We could not do it without you. So thank you guys for just being here every time we put out an episode. And we hope that you will join us again for the next one. So until next time, be safe out there. Don't text and drive. And be excellent to each other. Take care, guys.